Hello, happy Monday to all of our listeners, and I hope everyone is doing well out there in wherever you're listening from. Raven, how are you doing tonight, sir? Can you hear me okay? Were you able to get in? Welcome, everyone, to the Shadow of Comics podcast. Again, I am your host, The Shadow, and my co-host, Raven, is here with us tonight. How are you today, sir?
Good, 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 good.
Happy Monday to everyone. Sorry if I have to repeat myself here. We were going some technical difficulties. We got big things coming, little things stopping. So bear with us as we progress further into our YouTube and podcast experience. But life has been going pretty good so far. And we're going to keep that momentum going of good things because, we've kind of taken a little bit of a break, Raven, haven't we, from talking about Batman movies. And we've gone through, I reviewed The Odyssey. We talked about The Aircut, very successful video. We love the support on that. We're getting the views are climbing every day with them. So I really appreciate you guys listening in on that video. Um, we're going to talk about something I think you and I kind of line up in similar thoughts about the next phase of Batman, kind of going back to what we previously covered. We talked about the Tim Burton era of Batman. We talked about the Joel Schumacher era of Batman. And now we're talking about, in my opinion, just like it's like a glass of water in the desert. The man that saved Batman from obscurity, Mr. Christopher Nolan,
I mean,
known
that's
for
not remotely true, but
we'll
whatever.
talk about it. We'll talk about it. He saved Batman from obscurity. He saved the Odyssey from, being adapted, into a terrible movie. He was the director that made it into just an absolute five-star banger. He just kind of a background, Raven. I'm not sure if you know about Mr. Christopher Nolan. He actually got his debut film with a really good movie called Memento, and kind of a weird, low budget psychological thriller. Really enjoy that movie. Stars Guy Pearce. Really just really good movie if you haven't seen it. Now, have you have you any experiences with Nolan outside of his Batman trilogy? What are your thoughts on him as a filmmaker?
Interstellar, Tenet, The Prestige.
Excellent
Um,
films.
I'm not really a fan of. Oh no, I'm saying I'm not a fan. I think it's a good visual movie. I think Tenet's okay. It's not the greatest film ever. I know a lot of people like it, but I'm like whatever on that. But I think The Prestige is actually my second favorite Nolan film in general. I think that film is fucking phenomenal from cast to story, the plot, etc. You know,
Agreed.
oh, and then Oppenheimer. That movie's good. Like it's a well-made movie. I just never rewatched it since it came out, so I don't really have a lot of thoughts on that. But yeah,
I loved Oppenheimer, Barbenheimer, when you get to see Barbie and Oppenheimer back to back. I really enjoyed all of Nolan's films, to your point. I haven't seen Tenet. I think that's the only one I have not checked out. But for the most part, the guy is he's just, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Just if you put anything in his lap, he can make it phenomenal. And we're going to talk
oh,
about
and
my,
then obviously the
but
Odyssey. It's a good film. I don't know if it's great. I have a couple issues. Maybe we can actually finally review that with me and you, and go back and forth on that. But overall,
absolutely.
it's a good, not great film. I have a couple issues with it, primarily some of the castings, um, and then, but I mean, some of the castings were phenomenal. Like Robert Pattinson as the main, like I guess you want to call it villain, was phenomenal
Oh,
in
he
the
was so
Odyssey.
good. So good.
And he also, I think there's another Robert Pattinson movie that just came out. I heard it's actually really good.
There's a
Um,
movie, I
I
saw a
haven't,
trailer, not to cut you off. I saw the trailer for his Prime Time, which is his,
yeah, that's what it's
To
for.
Catch a
Yeah.
Predator. I think that's going to be really, really good. I can't wait for that one.
But
But
is it not out yet? I heard people were reviewing it. Or
it's
am I
not out yet.
tripping?
No, it comes out in I think it's October. I'd have to review the trailer, watch the trailer again, but it looked incredible. I really can't wait for it.
Oh, so it's a trailer that people are like going crazy about. Okay.
Yeah, he looks awesome. But yeah, I mean, we talk about Robert Pattinson, who is a Batman, and now we're gonna kind of talk about Christopher Nolan, who is, in my opinion, kind of the top three. Like you know the term, ever heard the term the three kings of Batman? I'd say Nolan. For me, the three kings are Nolan, Snyder, Matt Reeves. And there's a case, Nolan's. You laugh, but it's the truth, sir. This is.
No, Matt Reeves isn't even close to being there. Tim
Oh,
Burton cleared.
we'll talk about that next week because we have to, we got some stuff to talk about with that one. But um, yeah, let's kind of dissect this steak right here. So, Batman Begins came out in 2005 and was basically the first Batman movie in like I think it was like 7 years after Batman and Robin like killed like not just like Batman movies, but it really hurt superhero movies. Like you had like Spider-Man and you had X-Men, but for the most part, like superhero movies were kind of like a weird. Oh yeah, and Blade. I forgot about Blade. But for the most part,
The
like superhero movies were kind
top
of like
five
this.
Marvel movie ever.
What would you say?
Top five Marvel movie.
I really like Blade. I don't know if it's top five Marvel movie.
I mean, you think Brand New Day is good, so I mean,
Brand New Day was
I don't really hold
so
them.
good. We gotta review that
I
one
don't
too.
think I don't think you have good comic book opinions, but it's okay.
We'll get
We
we'll
all
get
like
to that.
sloth.
Brand New Day was so good, but we'll get back to why you're wrong about that. We got to That's a whole nother video. We're getting sidetracked. We're tonight.
Brand New Day sucked.
Brand New Day was so damn good. It was the best Spider-Man movie of all time. But let's talk, damn it,
Not
about
even close.
Christopher Nolan, the GOAT, and how he saved Batman and how he changed Batman forever. Damn it. So Batman Begins came out, and from from what we kind of know about the movie, because I'm kind of pulling this up right now, the expectations of it being great really were not high. Because people had um been kind of burnt out with Batman, but I remember that first trailer with the bat, say, the bat flying in the sky. I don't know if you remember that, and you saw the bat symbol, and that's when you
What the
kind of knew it was on. Like you were like, oh, this is this is something different. And what I like about Batman, what I love about, because we're kind of going to cover all three of them tonight. What I love especially about Batman Begins is that it's the first time you really saw Bruce Wayne become Batman. You really got to understand very clearly his motivation. I felt like the movie did a really excellent job of explaining why he was such a broken guy and that why he felt he was in a system that was just as broken as his family life was and is just as broken as the things that he had gone through in his life were. I always appreciated that. I also this like kind of just going about what I love about Batman Begins, and then we'll go into the Dark Knight Rises. What I love about Batman Begins is the script, in my opinion, especially, is it's such an emotionally resonant script, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree or disagree. I feel like this is the first time for me, I struggled relating to Tim Burton's Batman. I talked in our review about how I didn't really enjoy Michael Keaton's Batman. I felt his Bruce Wayne was kind of just a wooden cardboard cutout. Same thing about Val Kilmer. Christian Bale, who plays Batman in
You're
this
wrong on
movie,
Val
Christian.
Kilmer,
But
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 whatever.
but like yeah, I mean, Christian Bale, who plays Bruce Wayne and Batman in this movie, I really feel you care about him, like in a way that I didn't. I feel like it didn't really hit the mark with the other Batman. Like, and he's just a part of this massive puzzle. You have, I mean, these movies have a stacked cast, but very briefly, we got to kind of review all the big hitters. Morgan Freeman, the legendary Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. The legendary again Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, or the leader of the League of Shadows, who's the primary antagonist of the first Batman Begins. You have Katie Holmes and Maggie Gyllenhaal when she's recast in The Dark Knight. Of course, the iconic Heath Ledger Joker. I mean, just the standard of like movie villains, you could argue. And Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. Tom Hardy is Bane. These movies have just iconic casting that, in my opinion, shaped not just Batman movies, but superhero movies in, for like eternity. It was kind of the first time to me in this trilogy that you kind of look at superhero movies as like a little bit more than just like, for lack of a better term, cape shit. It was kind of the first time that you looked at it as like cinema. And like again, just kind of like to to glaze Batman Begins a little bit more. I really think that the score is excellent. Um, I really don't have any like many strong issues with Batman Begins. I think that it's the first time
The
you
villain's
see.
kind of weak though. That would be like compared to the other two. Like not that I think Ra's al Ghul's a bad villain
No, I would
slash,
agree. I agree.
but I mean it is the beginning, you know. So like it is more, you know, just the continue on what you're saying. Batman Begins to me is the greatest CBM ever. Um, you know, I think it has a great score, has great castings, obviously. I'm not really a fan of Christian Bale as Batman, and we can get into that as why. But beyond him as like as Batman slash Bruce Wayne, um, the things that they do so well that you know I know we disagree on the Byrne movies, but the one thing I'll say about Tim Burton, like he's already Batman. Like you don't really get to
Mhm.
see his beginning. Only thing you really see the only beginning that you really see is his childhood where his parents get murdered. That's really it. Which, you know, I like the movie, but even the joke, I can admit the Joker killing his parents doesn't make sense. And you know, this they actually correct that, which you know, which is the guy in the alley leaving the theater. So,
Joe Chill. I love that they
uh,
showed that. That's probably one of the more, to me, it's like, a lot of people say Zack Snyder was the first time that you saw like comic book panels brought to the big screen, like where you could just like
well,
pause
I
the
mean, Val
movie.
Kilmer had that too, but it's kind of like a mirage, like his Batman, where
Yeah,
they
I
kill
mean,
his parents.
sort of. I mean, to me, I mean, one of the most iconic shots in Batman Begins is the scene right after Bruce's parents get killed, and it's just the two parents just laid right next to like Bruce's feet, and his dad looks up at him and says, don't be afraid, and then he dies. And that shot of young Bruce Wayne just like kneeling down, just crying, and his parents there, and just that it just felt like something pulled right from like Batman Year One. And one of the things that I remember listening to the great Mark Kermode, who is a great British film critic. I don't always agree with everything he says, but I really enjoy listening to him. He said that it's a character study that's wrapped inside of a comic book movie. The other two are comic book movies, but this is really like a low budget like a low it's a high budget character piece about Bruce Wayne and his struggle from being, because if you think about it, like Bruce Wayne in the start of the movie is kind of just like an angry, spoiled rich guy who's very angry and angsty at the world. And you see him go from this journey of going to the League of Shadows and conquering that dragon. Like to me, like the movie is very similar of you see the knight, he conquers the dragon, he goes to the next castle, for lack of a better term, and goes to League of Shadows and he conquers that dragon, and then he goes to Gotham, and you see the beginnings of the Batman that we see from the comics. And I think that it was just masterful. I mean, what are your favorite parts of Batman Begins? Like, what would you say is your
Well,
favorite scene?
my I don't know about to me it's the greatest CBM ever, so I don't know if I have like a favorite scene per se. But you know, some of the scenes like if you want to say like my favorite scene, I, it'd be like gliding or it's at the end of the movie where he's gliding over the city to, you know, the antidote for the tear the what is it the gas, I don't know like the exact term.
Oh
Um
yeah, I forgot
the fear
killing
gas.
Cillian Murphy as a Scarecrow. Yeah,
Yeah. So he's also like I guess you want to say he's one of the villains. But
he
to me
is.
that scene is so iconic and then, you know, Commissioner Gordon driving the Batmobile to just, you know, help Bruce with that. Like they helped hand in hand. But I mean, some of the better, like some of the, I think that's a cool, amazing scene that we don't really, you haven't really seen like that. I guess maybe with Affleck, but you don't really see Batman use his cape like that, you know?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I also just kind of
But
wrap it up. Good.
to get into the some important scenes, like I think the where he goes and meets with what is his name?
Lucius Fox,
In the no he in the beginning he meets with
Ra's al Ghul.
no, and he says um he pretty much makes fun of his parents and he's like they
Oh,
beg
the
like
mob boss, Falcone. I think it's
yeah,
Falcone.
yeah, Falcon, yeah. That scene is so cool because it's like, and then and even before that because, you know, at first Rachel brings him to like Rachel shows him like you live in this rich world, and that's the first time he really sees like the gutter, sees how Gotham is beyond your little rich area. Like, he sees the real Gotham, and he realizes how corrupt it is, and Falcone, and how much they control the city and stuff. That's what it seems like, Dad, and Rachel being the few people that will go against Scarecrow, and and just Falcone just controlling the city and being corrupt. Like, that's, to me, it seems like that, and that's why it makes Batman Begins so interesting, because it kind of highlights why Bruce and Batman want to do this, or I guess the same person, but then why they want to do this, because Batman just isn't a guy in a mask, or you
He's a
know,
symbol.
um, yeah, he's a symbol, and
And
which gets
yeah.
highlighted even more in the movies. Like, so one of my another famous scene before we continue is, and they kind of do an Easter egg back in eventually in Dark Knight Rises, where it's like they're in the well, and
Mm,
he's like, why Alfred's like to Bruce, what what is it?
why do
Why
we
do we fall,
fall?
sir? Yeah, to
So we
pick
learn.
ourselves back up, which,
Mm.
and you can use that in life in general.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, because, I really have no negatives to say about Batman Begins. I'm sure if I were, again, I rewatched these movies so many times. I'm sure upon multiple viewings, I could find one thing that I'm like, I mean, maybe that line of dialogue was iffy, but I mean, overall, I mean, before we go on to the next two, I don't think it's controversial to say Batman Begins is one of again, I can't say it's the best comic book movie of all time, but for me it is easily one of the
I mean,
best comic book movies of all time
the,
for
re
what it.
before we continue, why I say that is because, to me, even over any other Batman movie, it understands it, and it highlights. It's not where you have to think and figure out. Like, it highlights what Batman is supposed to be, who is Batman, the ideals of Batman. It's like also, I know one of my favorite scenes in the movie is like when he's talking to Ra's al Ghul when he's training him for the first time, and let's begin, and he's like, pretty much, he's like, you need to become more than just a man, which, that's what Batman is. You need to
Oh,
be, like, well, just that whole training scene, like, and then that it's phenomenal. Nolan, I'm not, Nolan's the one that wrote the script, right?
let me
He,
check right now. I believe he did.
yeah,
David S.
he
Goyer
understands
wrote the
Batman.
script. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, David Goyer.
Hold on a
My
second
bad.
here. Let me see here. Hold on one second. We have a moment. David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan both co-wrote the script, from what I can tell from that.
Yeah, both of them
Um,
understand Batman more than anything, and just overall, my only complaint would be the villain, but it's a phenomenal movie. Like, I fucking love it. Like, I've seen it so many times. Um, oh, and then just real quick, it wasn't like a major success, but it set the standard to what to come, and
yeah.
it was it didn't make a lot of money, but it set you know the stage for the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. I think it
100%.
made
Just
300 million.
I can tell you the exact box office right now. So Batman Begins grossed $206.9 million on a $375 million. Uh, so that 269 million domestically, 375 million worldwide on a production budget of 150 million. So it's okay, but it's not like setting the world on fire
It's a very
levels of
moderate
yeah. Now,
success.
speaking of setting the world on fire, that goes into the second part of this discussion, which is one of my personal favorite movies, and I think would argue for many people of the listeners tonight is one of the best movies they've ever seen, if not their favorite movie, which is The
Oh,
Dark Knight.
side
Yeah.
one thing, and then one of the best parts about Begins is that, compared, especially the next two, Gotham, it looks like how Gotham's supposed to look.
I-
The
Oh
gutter,
yeah.
dirty, you know,
It looks Gotham,
that's
in my
actually.
opinion, is just as much of a character in all three of these movies. And to your point, before we move on to The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, I think that you see the progression of Gotham just as much as you see the progression of Batman. Because to your point, you see it and it's very run down and it's very like in the gutter. And then in The Dark Knight, it's kind of like more of an urban city. It's being cleaned up a little bit, but as you see throughout the course of the movie, the city is being tested. The people are being tested, just like the Joker is testing Batman. And you have this wave of chaos throughout the city. And The Dark Knight Rises, it becomes a war zone, much like Batman, who we'll get to that later in our video, but Batman becomes defeated and he has to, Gotham has to rise above the ashes of its destruction as Batman has to rise above his levels of destruction. Um, I really feel you can kind of tie Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises together, in my opinion. Like you could, Batman Begins especially, but more so the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. That to me, like they never really feel. All three of these movies never really feel like they're three separate movies. They feel like one odyssey, for lack of a better term. They feel like one journey that you go through with Christian Bale's Batman, and
Especially with the
especially
ending, with when Commissioner Gordon goes to him and he's like, he gives him the Joker card.
yeah, I'll look
He's
into
like,
it.
yeah.
And I like the Batman voice. I think some people don't care for it, but I love it. I think it works. I think it covers up who he is. There's some scenes where it's actually kind of terrifying. Like I don't love it as much as the voice modulator in BVS or like kind of the quiet tone of the Batman. But I really like Christian Bale's Batman. So kind of just to review the next part of this trilogy is you have the Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight is basically the quintessential Batman and Joker movie. Batman has cleaned up the streets. The police are working with him. This new criminal comes to town called the Joker, played by just rest in peace, the iconic, legendary Heath Ledger. Um, and one of the things I really love about the Joker in the movie is like Ra's al Ghul is a very set villain. You kind of know his motivation, but the Joker, you never really get a feeling of why he's doing that. And for some people that might be an issue, but for me, it's a strength because it adds to the scariness factor of him. It adds
Well,
to
that's
just the
why the one of the best scenes in the movie is when Alfred is talking to Bruce and he's like, and he gave him the story of
the
what
guy
was it?
the guy who burned down the forest.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's that's one of the best scenes in the movie because it's like some people just want to see them. Pretty much says some people just want to see the world burn.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, not I apologize to our listeners. It's not that he wanted the forest to burn. It's that there was a robber who was raiding. There's this bandit who is raiding these mining camps, stealing these diamonds, and then just giving them away because it was for sport. He wasn't actually interested in the diamonds. And like to be like for me, it's a toss up because like I don't know which movie I like better of this trilogy, The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises. And the reason why is because like I feel like Joker in The Dark Knight pushes Batman to his breaking point. Like in so many scenes where he's in the interrogation scene, um the scene and people like kind of say that the movie's a little convoluted. I disagree. But the last scene in the movie where Joker has set up this like unwinnable situation for Batman. That's what I constantly love about Nolan's Dark Knight movie,
Yeah,
especially, is that it
and
puts good.
no, it puts these characters that people consider like gods, right? And so like that you got to make the hard decision, and even if with the hard decision, you still kind of lose in the end, you know. That's why he's like, we're destined to do this forever. We're you and I, pretty much, like not me and you, but like you and I, and it's super cool because it's like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is what kind of the highlight what you're talking about, is that he has to choose to save Rachel or
Hmm.
um Harvey Dent, like
Oh yeah.
and he saves Harvey Dent because it's like he thinks it's the right thing to do, and he thought he could save both, but obviously it didn't work out that way, and then which leads into the chaos of the film. But yeah, I think just to highlight,
I also really
you know,
like Aaron Eckhart speaking, just kind of piggyback off your point as Harvey Dent. And I like when he becomes Two-Face because one of the things that Nolan does very well is even though you feel for Batman, you may hate his villains, like you may hate Joker or Bane or Ra's al Ghul, but like there is a part of me, and I think you feel the same way that when you watch them, you're invested in what they do. You're invested in this performance because it doesn't feel like a comic book villain. It doesn't feel like a cape shit villain. It feels like a villain that is there for a reason, and it feels
it's
like they
like
are three
these
dimensional.
it's like these characters are not just in fantasy land, comic booky thing, which I know comic books, this is what it's based upon, but sometimes you want to see your characters kind of like placed in them and like if they were placed in the real world, how would they react? And something one of my favorite scenes in this movie, it's like where he's like at the end of the movie, he's like we try to be you and I try to be pretty much I'm like paraphrasing, but you and I try to be pretty much decent men and was it he says
And in a
inhumane time
decent,
or
we thought we could be decent men in an indecent time. But
indecent time, yeah.
what I would argue, because a lot of people have debated this, and I kind of want your opinion on it, is that they feel that uh, Batman was corrupted because he broke the rules. But I would argue he never really, because like he never really breaks his rule. Like, I mean, the no the killing thing. I mean, that's going to be debated to the end of time. I don't think he really breaks that until Rises, and I like I'm kind of like whatever about it. It doesn't break the movie for me. But like in The Dark Knight, especially, is that you really do feel watching it if that were me, I would kill the Joker. There'd be no other way to stop him. But you realize that in a sick way, that's what the Joker wants. The Joker wants Batman to kill him so he can, so his, the ideology of him will be bigger and saying, see, that guy didn't really believe in anything. He was just like me. And it's brilliant. Um,
And there's also a bunch of scenes where like where you're talking about he kind of wants to push him to his edge, like where he kills the impersonating Batman guy and then he's a fake Joker just coming on from the tower. He like not the tower, the building, I forget the guy's character's
the
name, but
broadcasting station when he's with the mayor and he's like, that's a great iconic scene. But yeah, I mean,
and then also
honestly,
too, I just
uh,
wanted to add like some other scenes where he's like I think to me this is probably like the highlight of the movie in my opinion, or one of the highlights I would say is where he's like they're on the boat and it's the prisoners and then the I guess you'd say the good guys and it's like they're given a choice to choose and they could have just saved themselves one or the other and they just had hope that not everyone is evil and corrupted as the Joker and then just they do they in a way they do the right thing and none of them die and they win at least in that aspect of like Bruce says not everyone is what did he say? Not everyone is evil.
they prove not everyone is just
Um,
like you because the Joker is
yeah,
trying.
pretty
The
much,
whole
yeah.
point of this movie is that everyone's like him. And just kind of wrap this up because folks, we really appreciate you listening tonight. We do have a couple of we only have like 10 minutes left of our broadcast, but I just kind of wrap things up with The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, I people have said this is like the weakest of the Nolan
Oh, the
movies.
score is phenomenal, by the way.
The score is phenomenal in all three of them. But one of the things, again, because you haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises, at the end of The Dark Knight, Batman takes the fall for these murders that he was framed for doing, that Harvey Dent did. He goes away. Bane comes to Gotham. Batman comes back. He loses to Bane, gets his ass kicked. Catwoman's involved. And it's basically, in my opinion, this is all about Bruce Wayne rising above everything. Like there's a big thing, like even the title, The Dark Knight Rises. This is all about overcoming adversity and overcoming
Yeah,
your
because you
own
see that in each film
limitations.
that he has to keep becoming more and more and doing more. And especially after then of the Dark Knight, he's pretty much in a way like I don't say it as the lowest because he's not, but it's like he's put in that box to where you can't like really be Batman anymore because he doesn't want people to look at Harvey Dent as the bad guy that did all these things. He wants to be Harvey Dent has to be a symbol, kind of what Bruce was supposed to be and was.
Even though it was built upon a lie, which is the big part of what Commissioner Gordon struggles with. You feel this is the one I feel because I remember listening to a reviewer by the name of Chris Stuckman's review of The Dark Knight Rises when it first came out back in 2012, and he said that he related it to you don't spend a lot of time with Bruce Wayne as Batman in the suit. You see moments with him, but this is mostly a Bruce Wayne movie. But I would argue it really works. Um, I mean, really, like
Oh yeah.
this is, in my opinion, it's just to kind of wrap this up. I mean, the way it all, I mean, the movies are over 10 years old, and every time I watch The Dark Knight Rises, by the end of the movie, like it has me. It has me. Damn it! That when Bruce finally delivers the bomb. Spoilers for this movie. You think he's dead, and you see Alfred in the cafe, which is a callback to something earlier in the movie, and you see Bruce Wayne surviving with Catwoman in another life, and they give each other
Yeah,
the little nod in the night, and they go about their
yeah.
day.
He 'cause Bruce never thought that after Rachel that he would find someone, and kind of just like something more than just yeah, something after Batman. Because Bruce struggles with what is he after Batman?
Yeah, I mean, Raven, I mean, we could talk about these movies forever, but just to wrap this up for tonight, what is your
Oh,
overall? Go ahead.
real quick, I just want to talk about like just Bane because we spoke about the other villain. Bane to me has like the best quotables in this film. Like
Oh,
one
he's
of my favorite
awesome.
lines is like I was what was it? The
I was
the scene
born in
where
the
he's fighting.
darkness.
Yeah, that oh man, that's I was born wait, you were nearly adopted the dark. I was born in it. Just
I
quotable after quotable, you
What I
know.
like
The
about
only
Bane, go on.
no, I would say the only critiques I really have is the choreography. But like Nolan was so smart, just real quick to continue, where when he's fighting like that scene where he's mentioning like the quote that you just said, where he's like there's no score just to make the moment even feel like more memorable, like because fucking Catwoman betrays him, and he's just left there to defend for himself, and he's outmatched and being broken. And then a callback real quick to the Dark Begins is like he's literally in that cave and he has to get out. Like in the beginning of Begins, he's stuck in a cave. That's why it's so poetic and stuff. And the only really complaint I have is the Talia thing. If you remove Talia, I think the movie's perfect. That was and that and like some of the fighting scenes are kind of wonky, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that The Dark Knight Rises has its issues, very, very minor, but I still think it's a 5 out of 5 movie. I love it.
Oh, it's my
I
second favorite in the trilogy, actually.
So, I think overall we can agree, Christopher Nolan's trilogy,
Greatest trilogy ever,
one of
my
the
opinion.
greatest. I mean, if it was the
Lord of the
greatest,
Rings is the only close one, in my opinion.
I also like the Captain America trilogy, but that's for a different time. But I, yeah, I mean, but guys, before we wrap up tonight, Raven, I want to say thank you so much again for joining us, my friend. This was an excellent episode. Um, for our listeners tonight,
I'm gonna give star rankings to each film. Begins to me is a five,
okay.
1 out of 5. The Dark Knight, I would say it's a probably a 4 out of 5. It's amazing, it's great. I just wish we would have got more Batman. It felt more like a Joker movie, which again is fine. But I mean, yeah. And then The Dark Knight Rises to me is it's also kind of the same level. It's a 4 out of 5, just because of I don't like some of like again the fighting stuff and yeah. And then the Robin thing, which is a cool Easter egg, I guess. And then lastly, I think I guess to me how do you want to put this? You can tell like some of the acting, like Natalia, and they kind of phoned it in and felt like, oh, and then yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, my only disagreement is I give all three of these a 5 out of 5. Hard for me to just say which one is the best. In all honesty, my I'm not saying you're wrong at all about Batman Begins. I think it's an incredible movie. Is it the best? I don't know. I think The Rises and Dark Knight, I just have a little bit. They relate to me a little bit more with the villains with
They're more
Bane and
epic. So
Joker.
if you're
Yeah,
if you value certain things more, you might enjoy those more. But I love the character of Batman. They highlight that the most. Oh, and then lastly, I want to add this. The reason why I don't like Christian Bale Batman because I think his voice is kind of like choppy at times. It's not as bad in Begins, but it gets progressively worse in the later films. One thing I like about this, Batman is he's much older, and obviously you get to see him like I mean not older, but like how do you say it? Like he's not like a young Batman either. But like, one thing I like about Rise is that you kind of see him being down, like
I, yeah.
your god, if you will, is he's not this invincible guy that just fights crime. I like that he's beaten down, and he actually has to become. That's what Alfred is saying to him. You're not as strong as you used to. Your body isn't as what you used to be, and you have to figure out how to beat Bane another way. And as you see,
My friend, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that this is the definition of epic. Again, 5 out of 5. But like, I'm gonna give it to the listeners. I'm gonna give it back to the people. What do you guys think of The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan's trilogy? Rank them below. Tell us what you think. Tell us what's your favorite, what's your least favorite. Tell us whether you prefer the Burton series, the Schumacher series, the Snyder. Tell us down below in the comments who's your
Make
favorite
Batman
Batman.
serious like that.
Yeah, who's
No,
your
I mean
favorite
not make
Batman?
Batman serious. Make DC serious again. That's a better word choice.
Absolutely, my friend. All right, my friend, we are going to wrap this up, guys. Again, thank you so much for listening to our Monday evening broadcast. Raven, always a pleasure, my friend. I'm glad that we could talk about a positive thing that we agree about. And again, comment, like, share, and please subscribe. And if you don't know, don't worry. The shadow knows. Good night, everybody.